Hello YouTube, this is Tammy Pie and I'm back with another video. I am popping on here today. I'm about to go down to the garden, but I wanted to do a tag which was started by my friend Julie at Peekaboo Rose. And I've watched a couple of these. There's not that many yet. I have a feeling more people will do this, but this is deck sacrifice. And this one is going to be like actual sacrifice. I think that, but I just watched Angel at Feeding My Soul 1212. And she, I think, got more into it than what I saw before. But sacrifice is giving up something precious. Sacrifice is giving up like Andromeda, the princess of the land, in order to save all the people. Sacrifice is something big. So I'm going to show you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm going to show you 9 sacrificial lambs that are pretty major. I mean, I'm talking sacrifice. I'm talking, this is like slicing up my firstborn. So let's get into it. Okay, so sacrifice, an animal slaughter, or surrendering a possession, an offering as to a god or to the divine, an act of giving something valued for the sake of something regarded as more important or worthy. So a life for a life. Like if you were going to sacrifice yourself in order to save someone else. And for this one, I'm putting up my first edition SKT. This is the earliest version of this deck. And I've got it in a matching Moonlit Fae bag. So this is who's getting marched into the hospital. I'm going to give all my blood in order to save the new Buddha. Okay. I am going to walk right into that hospital and say, take both my kidneys, because we got to have Buddha, right? I'm going to move this because it's harder. So I love the backs on these. You can see I just, in the elbows up, I showed the Revelation edition. And when you look at that one compared to this one, it's almost unrecognizable. Almost. But like this card, the main part of it is the same. Even this one. Even that one. So this oldest version, this first version, is very dear to me. To me, this one is kind of the most ritualistic of all these decks, of all the iterations of this deck. And that's because I remember when she was doing this, she consecrated the ink and she did like nothing else but draw these cards for a couple of months. And she did the whole deck. She drew the whole deck in some outrageously short period of time. I want to say like 67 days. It was like really quick. So when you think about it that way, you really see how this was done in such a way that, it couldn't be super detailed finished paintings. However, that's pretty detailed. And this deck became something really amazing, like Buddha. And some of my bags have like a little stone or a little shell in them. This one has a little piece of lava rock. So that's like perfect for the forming of the SKT. All right. The next type of sacrifice, selfless service. And I don't just mean going down and serving soup once a year. I'm talking about, there are people out there who spend their lives. There's that guy who was a gourmet chef who has now gone to I don't know how many places, and he sets up a kitchen and gets people to donate food, and they like make food for people when they're in their greatest time of need. And it's like a whole big huge thing. So my selfless service would be giving up a deck that someone else really, really wants. And Angel mentioned this deck in her video, and a lot of people do mention this deck, and it's in this great tea set Moonlit Fae wrap. This is one that a lot of people talk about, and this would be a sacrifice for me. This is the Baba Studio Alice deck. And to me, no one's ever done it as well. The fact that this is a lot of people's unicorn is not surprising at all. The way they did the great guidebook, which has the story in it and kind of shows where all these cards live in the tale of Alice. They also used both books, both Alice in Wonderland and Alice Goes Through the Looking Glass. So there's more interesting characters in these. The fan, the moon going through the tower. I know these stories very well, and I know this deck very well, so I don't even really look at that guidebook anymore. But this deck has really been beautifully done, and this would be a great sacrifice for me. But lots of people want it, right? So for the greater good, yeah. That's Baba Studios Alice Tarot. I think the most common kind of sacrifice, a sacrifice that your local church is going to ask you to do. They're all asking you to put money in the hat, right? They've all got their hand out. And that this has been the way of churches since the beginning of time. So tithing, giving something like a portion of your earnings. And, for some people, that's really difficult. Can you imagine if you had 10 kids and you're living on the salary of a factory worker? Tithing is a big deal. So the way I looked at this is a deck that's worth a lot of money. And so I picked the Healing Waves. And it is an actual copy of the actual deck. This deck means a lot to me. It would be very difficult for me to give this up. It is symbolic of many things, including a dear friendship that I made, but also life by the sea, and the beautiful peace that brings, right? The ocean is a healing force for a lot of people. And so I'm not surprised that this deck, because of its rarity, is worth so much. It is very tender and very beautiful, and it's important in my practice. And if I had to give it up, it would be really difficult. It would be a real sacrifice. Because I'm very connected to it. I'll leave it on the dolphin. That one has a little shell in it. All right, another kind of sacrifice is the sacrifice by fire and the burning of something. So this is something you're not giving to someone. This is something you're taking and destroying with fire. You're offering it up to the gods. Now's a good time for that. May 1st is coming up. And light up your bonfires, folks. This is the Stunning Tarot by Jonas. And this is the first edition. These are the backs. It looks like burning lava or the coals in a fire. So this is very much feels like something you might burn in an offering to the goddess when begging for revenge or retribution. And it would be a big sacrifice to me. I wouldn't want to do any burning of any decks, really. But Jonas has stopped sending to the United States because of the tariffs. So losing this one would mean losing it forever, probably, for me. I don't know, maybe not. Things might change again, hopefully. There's a lot of people out there doing a lot of things. I tend to draw back because I lived in the underground for too long to be seen on camera by those kind of people. But yeah, the Stunning Tarot. That's my sacrifice by fire. Another type of sacrifice, grain. A lot of times the people would take a portion of the grain, which was life-sustaining, right? Grain is something that could be farmed over a long period of time, could be dried and then saved so that over the winter people could make bread. And that's a big deal. So this is what I'm calling an elemental sacrifice. And this is the Sistine Tarot, which would indeed be a huge sacrifice to me. I would really not want to give this up for any reason. It does have a sustaining feeling to me. It does feel like something that is important to my practice. It makes me feel better when I'm going through kind of moany groany times, which those times come around at odd times of the year, when you need the comfort of a cool hand. Cysteine seems to do the job. So this is my sacrifice of grain to the goddess. Bring back the sun. Allow the fields to grow again. Cysteine Tarot by Rose Bay. This is the sacrifice of peace. Not quite sure how peace would be a sacrifice, because that would be something you would consider them sacrificing for, maybe. But I'm going to say there's a thing that they did. I think it was in Vikings. It might have been in the Vikings show, where they sent the child of one tribe, and they set two children, both the sons of the tribe's chiefs, and they were to raise them. So there would be peace as long as these children lived with the other tribe, right? So this is the sacrifice of peace. And this is the Playful Heart Tarot by Kitten Chops. And this would be devastating to me. If I had to give this up, I would be really bummed. Still haven't gotten the Playful Heart Marseille. I don't know. I guess in a way, because I'm so in love with this one, I don't know if I would feel the same way. But, decks are decks. You can live without anything, right? But if I were to give this up, I would really hope that it would be safe somewhere else. I don't know. The sacrifice of peace. And this is the first edition of Playful Heart by Kitten Chops. I love that fool. All right, so the next type of sacrifice is the sacrifice of sin, which I thought was interesting. So obviously I went and Googled sacrifice, different types of sacrifices, because I thought, well, if you're going to do sacrifice is a pretty dramatic word, right? Sacrifice. It sounds mega. And so I'm looking at stuff that I don't want to give up at all. None of these. I'm so glad that this is not a real thing. But the sacrifice of sin. And I'm gonna go back to Hollywood for a second. There's a genre of movies where the guy gets a phone call, a random phone call, and they say, if you don't do this bad thing will happen. I think there was a Johnny Depp movie where they grabbed his daughter or something and said, if you don't go and deliver this bomb to an airport or something, right? So the sacrifice of sin. So doing something kind of bad in order to save someone or something important. And so I chose a really sexy deck, a deck that feels like doing something kind of bad, but for all the right reasons. And this is the Witch's Tarot by, interestingly enough, Burning Paper Hearts. And it just works with the words, right? I can imagine taking this out in the woods and building a bonfire and doing all the witchy shit in the woods in order to save something precious. The creep factor in this deck is just delicious. Oh, look. A duck with another animal that's not a lion in the strength card. Gotta remember that. Yeah. This deck truly feels like ritual. Delicious, delicious sacrifice. Right? Next. All right, so this is the sin of trespass. The sin of trespass. So the sacrifice is, there is something that was done wrong. And I just finished reading this interesting book too that called The Starling House. And it's like these people were paying for something that someone did a long, long time ago. And there was nothing that they had done that necessarily meant that they had to pay for all this, but they were paying for the sins of the past, right? So, I mean, this isn't what happened in the book, but one of the things is Abraham giving up the life of his firstborn. And so my firstborn was Thoth, sorry. So this is a Thoth greenie. It's a beautiful copy with a good box and everything, and still in order because I kind of, this is a precious, right? The greenie. Of course, at the last moment, he's saved. The angel stops him from lowering the knife to his child's neck. I mean, I don't know if I would do that. In fact, I'm sure I wouldn't. I would tell the gods to bite me. But Andromeda and all that. Hopefully Perseus comes. This greenie and my other Thoth decks are extremely important, essential to my tarot practice. So giving it up would be a terrible, terrible sacrifice. But in the end, as has been said before, we don't really need any of this, right? We need a roof over our heads. We need food in our belly. We need clean water. Don't need all these paper tarot decks. Ugh. God, this is so pretty. La. Okay, I'm about to take off down to the garden, but to be clear, I'm not giving up any of these, sorry. At least not now. Not until situations arise where I might have to, but I don't have to, fortunately. And this was good. This was interesting. It was interesting to look at some of the most precious, least give upable things and think about giving them up, for sure. So thank you for coming.